welcome. It's so good to see you.
Hi.
So, welcome to this is Self-Determination Institute, SDP Community Lunch. We're here to talk about all things self-determination program. Welcome, everyone. It's so good to see you. We are also live streaming on YouTube. And if you want to see this later, you have somebody else who wants to see it later, we also record the meeting, and so there will be a link for recording later. We have two great presenters who are coming today, or who are here today to present to you. And but I do have a couple announcements. Let me get my announcements up here first. There we go. Where is my, here we go. So, a lot's going on right now in self-determination programs. So let's talk super quick. The first announcement that we have is that SDI, we have our current meeting that you're at, and then we're adding another one starting next month. And it is going to be on the first Tuesday of every month. And I'm going to share my screen so you can see we're putting the information in the chat. And the intent of this is that you will be able to go through this monthly meeting and walk step by step through the process of onboarding. So I'm also a co-trainer with State Council for the orientation, and we're very aware that 2 hours gives you a lot of information, but not everything you need to know. So this is here to dig into each step to give you more information. So the first one, we're going to talk about the pre-enrollment support, finding that independent facilitator, what questions to ask them, all of those kind of things. We're going to go through creating a person-centered plan and the importance of it, budgets, spending plan. We're going to walk through it step by step. We will put the link in the chat so you can register for that to come. And we will also do the same thing where we'll live stream and you can go back and watch a recording of it if you ever need a little bit more information about one of the areas that you're looking at. But I'm kind of one of those people, I like to learn things just in time. So getting too much information up front, I want to learn about spending plans when I'm working on my spending plan. I want to learn about budgets when I'm working on my budget. So hopefully this will help people get information right when they need it and come ask tons of questions. So we're really excited about that and looking forward to it. The other piece we have is that we are in the process of creating our website. And for the website, it's going to kind of walk you through all these steps as well. We had thought about waiting to share it once it was complete, but we thought, you know what? People are in the process of this. So our website, we will put the link in the chat. You can pop in and you'll see it build as we build together. So that'll be really fun. And so it's so great to see everybody. I see so many familiar faces. Thank you for your cameras on. I love seeing people on the camera. Our next part that we get to talk about is not so much the fun stuff. This is kind of what's going on in the self-determination program. Let me give you a little background of kind of how self-determination program is funded. Self-determination program is funded partially through state funds and partially through federal funds. So what I'm going to be talking today is what's going on the state side, not the federal side. So we're going to talk a little bit about the state side. So every year our governor creates his budget of what he expects to spend in the state. Now, he doesn't just get his budget. He has to work with the legislature and they work together and they come up with a budget plan. In May, they have something called the May Revise, and he releases an update of that budget. And in this May Revise, because we know kind of what's going on a little bit more from when he started his original budget, there's some things that he adjusted. In that May Revise, it included um, cuts to the self-determination program. So it was 20, let me double check, I want to make sure I get it right. $22.5 million reduction in the self-determination program. Now, we were not the only area that was cut, but we were the second largest area that had cuts. And so I kind of want everybody to know what this is and what's going on. Now, those are not, again, this is the governor putting his revised, the legislature still has to agree to these and make decisions about this. So it's something that's going on right now. What came out then was trailer bill language. And let me explain what a trailer, you're learning more about government than you probably ever wanted to know, but I'm going to tell you it anyway. Trailer bill is a way that the laws can be adjusted without going through the typical legal process. And so there came out some draft trailer bill language of how they want to adjust the self-determination program. Now, again, this is draft, this isn't final. And I think that it's really important because what I have seen is when you look at other states, there is always this push and pull between being fiscally responsible and allowing the participants to have budget authority. And so this is where these discussions are so important, that the participants' voices are heard in this as we try to um, resolve some of the issues that they're trying to resolve. So there were two main areas that I really see them working on, which is the budgets, the amounts of the budgets, and controls in spending plans. So I want to make sure that we can get both the controls to have program sustainability, because we absolutely, there have to be some controls put into place to make sure that we can keep this program going and sustainable. But we also want to make sure that it's not going to increase the burden on the participant to where it's too difficult for us to access the program. So that's the balance we're going to do. So what I'm going to drop in the chat just for your own information, if you're kind of a nerd like me and want to read this, I know I see a couple of my fellow nerds in here who will read this. I will drop the trailer bill language, and this is the draft, into the chat, as well as what SDIs, how we read it, interpreted it, and our take on it. So kind of our stance. And so please take a look at it. We will talk more about this. This isn't something that's kind of going away. This is a really important piece of our engagement and our being part of the community of self-determination program. I like to describe the program quite frequently as it's a three-legged stool that the participant is sitting on top of. And the three legs are our financial management service, our regional center, and our providers. And so it's really important that we have all of these in place, accessible, and that, we're all working together. So this is what we talk about when we're building communities. So that's kind of the boring stuff. Now we get to come to the fun stuff, which is we have two great presenters today. Our first presenter, now we've had other SDP Ombuds people before. We like to change. And so Cynthia is our new acting SDP Ombudsperson. If you don't know what an ombudsperson is, that's exactly why she's here to talk to us, because it's the weirdest name. Nobody knows what it means. So we're going to talk about what the ombudsperson's office is, what to expect from them, all of that. And so without further ado, I want to present Cynthia Solomon-Ponce. Cynthia, thank you so much for coming and talking to us.
Thank you, Christiana, for having me, and thank you for the team as well. I'm going to go ahead and just share a little bit because, you know, it's fun when we have a visual. So give me a second. Here we go. There we go. So as Christiana shared, we like to rotate ombudspersons. But at the moment, I am the acting SDP Ombudsperson. However, I've been with the office since it opened in a different role at that time. But today, I just wanted to carve out a little bit of time just to walk you through what the Ombudsperson's office is. So let's see if this, okay. And so we get a lot of questions. What's the ombudsperson's office? What do you do? How can you help? And so I wanted to zoom out for a second and just kind of give you a big picture as to how we fit into the department. And so the Office of the Self-Determination Program Ombudsperson Office is a neutral party, and we are autonomous. And we're part of the Division of Community Assistance and Resolution. And so we're very outward facing and connecting with the community. There's two ombudsperson offices, so I do want to take a moment and point that out. And so you'll see here that the first tile is the SDP Ombudsperson Office, and then you have the Lanterman Ombudsperson Office. So for those of you that aren't aware, there is an ombudsperson office that supports the traditional service model. So if you have any challenges or barriers in those aspects, we have an office for you as well. It functions very similarly. We share the same phone number, and we will be putting the website link to each of our offices in the chat. And so right now I am the acting SDP ombudsperson for this office. Katie Hornberger is the ombudsperson for the Lanterman office. And she's also in an acting position that oversees this division, and which is our neighboring little units, which is the conservatorship unit. And so this is where conservatorships are maintained for the department, and they work with regional centers to ensure people are properly served. And then we have the foster care, not, excuse me, the foster grandparent. I always do that. The foster grandparent senior companion program, which is a really neat program that helps mentor individuals with developmental disabilities by seniors, those in their golden years. And so it really creates and fosters this really nice mentorship and relationship companionship program. And then we also have community appeals and resolutions. So all of the complaints that come in and the appeals, that goes to that specific office. And so in the organization of everything, this is where we fall into it. And so what is the role of the office? What do we do? And so I wanted to take a moment, and rather than reading it to you, I wanted just to kind of walk you through what the expectations would be when you reach out to the office. And so when you contact the Ombuds office, one of the key things that we're going to do is we're going to try to understand what is the ask from the office. So if you're reaching out to us, whether it's by phone, email, web intake, that's the one thing that we really want to identify is what is the barrier in the situation so that we can figure out how to assist. The other thing that I do want to point out is that if you're reaching out to the office on behalf of someone else, one of the things that we will ask for is consent. So if you're either reaching out on behalf of a participant or the parent of a participant, we will ask to connect that communication just to make sure that they're okay with us discussing their situation. And if it's needed, to be able to have consent to reach out to third parties. And so we really want to really have that fluid communication. And so by you including them in the initial contact, it helps expedite that. Because what happens sometimes is someone will reach out on behalf of another person. And as we're trying to go back and forth to really to get consent and connect to really understand their individualized situation, sometimes we have a hard time establishing that connection, that they become unresponsive. So we really want to, nurture communication. We're really big communicators because we're helpers. We're like the helper of the department. So our office is really here to gather information, really focus on the individualized situation. And we get complaints. I mean, naturally we get complaints. And so our job is to really kind of figure out how can we be solution oriented in these complaints? And then if there's something systemic within the program, that gives us the opportunity to take that information and create recommendations to the policy unit and the department in regards to this program. And so there are limitations to what our office can do as well. And some of those limitations are, just being the deciding factor when it comes to disputes. Fortunately, we're not the individual that can come in and say yes or no to a service. That's something that goes back to the IPP team. And it's, again, in SDP, I can't emphasize this enough, it's a collaborative effort. There's communication across all parties. And so as much as our office can come in and provide support when it comes to exploring alternate ways to address the situation, we don't have the ability to give the final yes or no. The other thing is I'm an advocate at heart, but we are not advocates for individuals. And so we cannot go and represent you at a hearing or make recommendations based off of a decision or try to overturn anything of that nature. So we do have limitations to what we can do. but wanted to get into some of the interesting stuff when it comes to the office. So I lightly touched on how you can reach out to the office. And so there's three main methods, which is email. You can email our main inbox. You can complete a web intake form, which is on our website, or you can call the office. And I do want to point out again that that phone number is for both of the ombuds offices, and then you get routed to whichever selection that you're looking for, whether it's SDP or Lanterman. But for our office, a bulk of the inquiries that we receive are through email. And so that seems to be the most popular. And so this data is specific to the last 6 months. So out of the 640 calls or inquiries, I should say, that we received, 76% of them all came in through email. The second most popular way of connecting with us is by phone. And web intake, it's it does indicate 3%, but I do want to note that we filter out double intakes. So if you email us and then you run over and you complete a web intake form, we only count that once. So that 3% does not reflect those individuals who completed and who also did web intake, email, and phone call. And so again, the office, we have a 3-day turnaround time. So if you reach out to us, we have an auto response to let you know and confirm receipt that we've got your inquiry. We then route it to a representative who has the opportunity to schedule one-on-one time to really discuss what's going on, and that will request consent to connect to a third party on your behalf and help kind of facilitate that resolution to your situation. And so I always think this is interesting. So who are the people that contact the office the most? Parents. So a bulk of our inquiries are initiated by parents. Second to that are independent facilitators and regional center staff are, so these are the top three in contacts to the office. And so it does, I want to take a moment just to give a visual that we are a neutral party. And so our role is really to provide information about the program. And so sometimes regional center staff do reach out to, ask about programs, to ask about how, you know, to navigate SDP as well, which I think is always helpful. And I do want to preface that by saying when regional center staff reach out, they're generic. I've had staff reach out with very generic questions. They don't disclose who the individual is. And so it really gives us the opportunity to share information about SDP. And same goes with the FMS. And I do want to point out that we have started to kind of split the context. So some of these conservators that you see here, some of them are also parents. And we started to track siblings as well. And so we're trying to provide you with as much transparency as to how people are, who's communicating with us and how. Those that are identified under other, those are usually individuals who prefer to remain anonymous because the information that's given to us is voluntary. So you don't have to disclose who you are. Our goal is to really be a support to making sure you have access to this program. So we do have a few folks that are just kind of captured under other. And then when it comes to the main contacts that we get, what are they for? And so when you call the office, part of that one-on-one inquiry gives us the opportunity to really categorize what your barrier is, so that when we make recommendations back to the department, we're able to really highlight how it's impacting SDP bigger picture. And so right now, the key calls are around budgets. And so what does that mean? How do we categorize budgets? And so that's really consistent with any barriers to the budgets, unmet needs, or people needing to have more conversation about what that looks like. And sometimes it's even budget delays. The other part to that is also FMS. And so what does that look like when it comes to FMS? Again, sometimes it comes to bridging that communication between the two as to make ensuring that everything is in place for you to start. Um, and then lastly, it's we have a category under rights, hearings, and appeals. And so what we find ourselves doing a lot of the time is giving folks information as to the appropriate complaint process, um, or hearing process. And if a self-advocate calls, then we're able to really provide more of that hands-on support as to like how to navigate that process. Because I can tell you, it gets confusing at times for folks to understand the difference between a 4731, a whistleblower, a citizen's complaint. And so we're able to kind of help decipher that a little bit to see what's most appropriate for your situation and just kind of provide some guidance in that. And then general information, I always appreciate when folks reach out and are able to just ask general questions, whether it's about orientation or transition. And so we try to do our best to just capture some of that as we go through. And so, oh, excuse me. Okay, so this was my boo-boo. So this is the most accurate data. This data was actually from 6 months prior. So this is the most recent. So this data here is from January 1st of 2025 through today. I did run this through today. So FMS, and I'll give you the specific deaths on that. So that's at 21%. So 136. Remember, we had 640 inquiries total. 136 of those were regarding FMSs. And again, it's really connecting the dots because there's certain components to that might be challenging for folks to understand. Like, how do we know that things have bridged? Those are conversations we don't really talk about openly. And so those are things that our staff are able to really help kind of foster those conversations, making sure all of those last checks and balances are done when it comes to getting you started on your new budget year. But again, I apologize for the discrepancy, but this is the most accurate data. Um, and anything that's under other options or not SDP related, sometimes we do get calls that are supposed to be routed to other ombudsperson's offices that are not related to the department. We do still track those as well, and referrals even internally. And then for PCP, we are also tracking. So for a lot of the folks out there that are reaching out to the office, and I understand your frustration, whether it's around delayed payment, we do track that information. And so I do want to preface that by saying, even though there might not be an instant solution to your situation, we are tracking that data. So I do want to encourage you to continue reaching out across the board and sharing your experience in SDP. And that goes both ways, positive as well, because I do think it's helpful for us to have positive feedback as far as how SDP is benefiting your situation. So for PCP funding and payments, we do track that as well. So one of the things that we started to do is in the department's website, we have a tile where you can access our webpage. And here, I went through that quickly. You can go to our office contacts dashboard. And so this dashboard is updated twice a year. And so similar to this data that I just shared with you, run that data, and then we plug it into our dashboard so that you have the opportunity to filter through and run your own little reports and see just some of the information that's coming through the office, frequent complaints. And if you want to filter it by regional center, you can do that as well. And if you have any challenges with navigating it, you're always more than welcome to call and we can walk you through it as well. And we also have our Ombudsperson's report, which was released in January, and that's also located here on our website. And so, again, here's our web intake form. It's also located on our website, our phone number that we do share with the Landerman Ombuds office. And if you want to submit a email inquiry, you can do that as well.
Cynthia, thank you so much. That was really helpful. We have some great questions, but what I think we're going to do is I want to make sure that our next presenter has time to present, and then we'll ask all the questions together. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely.
Okay, so because I know we'll get into the woods and the questions, and I don't want to take up all the time. We want to make sure that our financial management service gets to share too. So. So the other thing we love to do here is to share the new financial management services. I think we're up to 26 or 27. What I always say is, I see the question all the time, or I get asked, who's the best financial management service? And the answer is there isn't one perfect one. What we're looking for is the one that works for you, that everyone has different strengths and things, they work with different areas. And so we really encourage everybody to get to know the financial management services. Not every financial management service works with every regional center. So, one of the key things that you want to do when you go out and you start looking is find out who provides the supports at your regional center and then call them, talk to them, ask them questions. Or come here and meet them. And so that's what we're doing today. So, HR Alliance Financial Management Service is here to share the services that they offer. And Basil, I'm going to let you, do you want to introduce yourselves? And I will make sure to get, is Brianna and Alan here? I'll make sure they get pinned too.
Yeah, they are. Thank you so much, Christiana. Appreciate you having us. Hello, everyone. Thank you for welcoming us here and listening. Um, my name is Basil Al-Qadri. I have my teammates Brianna and Alan here as well. We are with HR Alliance West, and we are an FMS service, financial management service here within California. We recently entered the market late last year. I do have a presentation, so I'll go ahead and share it here. Cool. And I'll try to run through it quick for time's sake and answer any questions you guys have. So yeah, we are a financial FMS service. We started within the state of Michigan and then expanded to multi-state. We do have, oh, sorry about that. We do have representatives, teammates within each region that we operate in. Our key mission here is to make the clients, participants, and families' lives as easy as possible. Our role as a FMS service is to take as much off your plate as we can, ensure that you have compliance the entire time you're participating within the program, and yeah, let's go to the next one here. So our experience, we've been in the business for over 14 years, so we have quite a bit of experience there. We've worked with different systems, integrations to ensure that FMS system is seamlessly integrated with other critical systems, such as state reporting systems as well. We do use our own platform to track everything. It's called DCI. We do offer training on that as well for our clients and their providers. We do cover each different kind of service. So sole employer, co-employer, and bill payer. Some of our other services include human resource support, payroll and financial reporting, record maintenance, and ongoing coordination. This is our team right here. We have about six teammates, front end teammates, and then 15 back end teammates to help us out. And like I said, we're within all of our teammates are within each state that we operate in. Some of our office locations here, for the California ones, we have one in Long Beach, Sacramento, and then Oakland. If we ever do need to do in-person visits, different events, or so on and so forth. The regional centers that we service are 7 currently, and we have 4 pending here down below. Our initial vendorization was through Alta, but yeah, we've successfully gotten our courtesy vendoration from these other 6 regional centers, and currently intaking clients as well. This is a breakdown of our employer burden rates and our budget cap. We do include our workers' compensation, as well as employee benefits within this rate for a total of 22.77. The workers' comp you see right here is 6.47. And I believe, depending on the circumstances, if it's like in-home care through like family, you can avoid the FUTA and SUTA taxes, which brings it down to around 18%. And our budget cap is 200,000, but on a case by basis, we can accept more, just depending on the spending plan, what it looks like, and the regional center's payout schedule as well. We try to make the onboarding process pretty simple. We know that you guys, participants, have a lot on their plate already. So we try to start with an introductory call, try to understand your situation, and if your needs can align with our services, discuss healthy spending habits, making most out of your budget if needed. I know a lot of people do work with, excuse me, independent facilitators, but if you don't have one, or if you're not working with someone to help you with your budget, we're more than happy to step in there and assist you wherever needed. From there, you would submit an approved spending plan signed by the regional center. We would complete all onboarding documents and submit all verification information, receive training for the DCI platform I mentioned earlier, where you can track, like if you're a sole employer, co-employer model, you can track your employees' hours. They can clock in, clock out. Service providers can have their own logins as well. We are working on a system separate from this to where we can process invoices a little simpler. But for now, we're just the way we're accepting and processing invoices is you just send it to us, and then as long as it's part of the spending plan, we can get it processed through accounting pretty quickly. And then, of course, we discuss best practices and prepare for your start date. We just want to make sure everyone's under the same page, compliance is met, so on and so forth. So yeah, final takeaways here. The empowerment of STP is very important to us, and we really value clients having the power to make their own choices, who they want to go with, what best serves their needs, and we're here to help support that as much as we can.